In this video, we're going to go over the winter forecast for 2025 to 2026 as we take a look at what potentially this winter could look like this year through next year with the information we currently have. Now, this forecast is preliminary, so things will definitely change over the course of the next 4 months or so. But this is what currently I have an idea of what this winter could be looking like. And this is the INSO alert system status. And this is the summary for the INSO status. So the Climate Prediction Center issues this summary frequently, discussing whether we are in a El Nino, a neutral, or a La Nina status. And right now, you can see it says not active. INSO neutral is present. So we are in the middle of a La Nina and El Nino, so we're not really seeing any above average waters in the Eastern Pacific. We're not seeing below average temperature waters in the Eastern Pacific. So we're in that middle of the boat range right now, and they expect this neutral to last through the late northern hemisphere, and they expect this neutral status to last through the late summer months of 2025. So a 56% chance of neutral from August to October. Now, after October, the chances of La Nina conditions increase into the fall and winter of 2025 and 2026, but remain comparable to an INSO neutral. So it's looking like we're going to see some sort of mixture of a La Nina, some sort of mixture of a neutral and La Nina, likely a very weak La Nina mixing with that neutral. And here's what a neutral winter pattern looks like for the United States. You can see we have that jet stream. It's an estimated jet stream for neutral, but that comes down from Canada right into the Great Plains and then curving eastward into the mid-Atlantic. That's jet stream, so that'll keep the cold pretty much in that Midwestern area, and that will generally be a colder winter for the Midwest. You're going to have a subtropical jet down south that comes through Mexico into Texas, and that'll bring a lot of rain to the southeastern United States. And since that jet stream's so far north, it's going to bring those warmer conditions to the south, as well as you're going to have a Pacific jet stream, which also could bring some more rainfall to the northwestern part of the states. And then here's what a La Nina winter looks like. And you can see this jet stream is familiar to a neutral status, except this jet stream is really starts on the western edge of Canada instead of from kind of the middle portion of Canada there. This goes a lot more southeastward instead of diving south. Kind of stays in this mid-Atlantic area, the Ohio Valley, and then curves back up north to New England. So La Nina, you're going to see more nor'easters in the New England area with those clipper systems evolving over the mid-Atlantic area and then becoming a nor'easter as it heads out to the Atlantic. But again, La Nina brings wetter conditions and cooler conditions, especially again across that Midwestern area, the Great Plains, the Rockies. We'll see cooler conditions during a La Nina, wetter conditions across the northwestern portions, and as well as the Ohio Valley. Expect to see wetter conditions under a La Nina. As you notice, the difference between a neutral and a La Nina for the south is you see a lot less rainfall with a La Nina typically across the south, and much more warmer conditions, much more drier across the southwest as well. So neutral and La Nina is kind of familiar, but definitely do have their differences. So starting off here with my precipitation forecast for winter 2025 to 2026. These light green colors are slightly above average rainfall here. Let me move my face cam out of the way. But as you can see, we have slightly above average rainfall here for the northwestern United States. Since we're going to have a weak La Nina and a neutral, I'm expecting that mixture. So we're kind of combining the two together and we get this result for precipitation. So slightly above average precipitation up here in the northwest, and then we have slightly above precipitation in light green, but dark green we're going to see generally above average precip across the eastern half of the United States. With all that moisture pumping in, we might have that subtropical jet coming through Mexico is just going to bring a lot of moisture and quite a bit of snowstorms here to the eastern half of the states. And again, with that mixture of La Nina and neutral, you are generally still going to have a drier winter here for the southwestern states as expected. But again, the eastern half of the states is once again going to see a lot of moisture pumping in with that mixture of neutral and La Nina. And then looking at temperatures, you are going to see those warmer temperatures, above average temperatures for the southern half of the states with that mixture of La Nina and neutral, especially across Arizona, New Mexico, is really gonna see the effects of those above average temperatures. And then again, you're gonna see some very, very cold air with this recipe that the weather's cooking up here for this winter. You're gonna see some very cold temperatures, a very cold winter ahead for the Midwestern states. I can't exactly remember if this last winter was super cold. I believe it was for a good period of time. I think it will be a little less cold than last year, but still a pretty cold winter for the Midwest, Great Plains, Northeast. I do expect a just as cold winter as last year. This last year. And then finally, looking at the overall forecast for the winter 2025 to 26, starting off in the northwest corner of the United States. I expect those rainy conditions with that Pacific jet stream of the weak La Nina. You're going to see those rainy conditions for the winter in that northwestern corner of the states. The Rocky Mountains highlighted in the white. Not all of the white Rocky Mountains here, but generally speaking, you are going to see average snowfall for the Rockies. I'm expecting this year. You typically see a ton of snowfall in the Rockies every year, so it's going to be an average year for the Rockies. Very warm conditions for the southwestern states here. Again, like we've been discussing, we're going to see these warmer and drier conditions across the southwestern states. And I've kind of put a little pocket here, but also this dry area is also under this very warm area, just FYI. But there's also a dry pocket here. I believe it's going to be a slightly drier than normal for this winter across areas like Kansas, southwestern Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. I generally don't think you're going to see a ton of snow this year for this little pocket here. Generally stormy conditions here across the southeast states with a mixture of neutral La Nina. You're going to see all this moisture pumping in, and again, you're going to see above average temperatures. So that's going to trigger some storms, especially with those cold fronts that those winter storms bring that kind of dive southeast or dive eastward. It's going to bring those storms across the southeast. I'm expecting above average snowstorms here across this blue area. I believe the jet stream is definitely going to be diving south a bit more this upcoming winter. That's going to bring some more snowstorms to this Ohio Valley region. I know we saw a few storms hit this area. They got ice, they got snow last year. I think it was a pretty decent year for this Ohio Valley region for snow wise. But I'm expecting that this year, and then potentially we could be seeing some big time nor'easter storms across the New England area, especially if we get that La Nina neutral jet stream. We could definitely see some big time nor'easters in the New England area. And then finally, we have that polar vortex. Every year, that polar vortex dives south and brings some extremely cold temperatures to this area. Some years it could be only a week of polar vortex. Some years it could be a whole month of polar vortex type temperatures. So it really depends on the year, but definitely in some part of the winter, maybe more, maybe less, you are going to see some extremely cold temperatures across those Great Plains, Michigan, diving south into more of those southern states as well, with those massive cold fronts and Arctic blasts. You see that every year. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It supports the channel. Hit the like button as well. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.